What are tear-resistant tissues? How can I use them? How do I make mine unique?
Hello, my name is Judy West and I'd like to thank you for joining me today.
Now this is your Ninny's tear resistant tissue, and I got this from NinnysNapkins in Canada, and this tissue paper will tear, but it's resistant to tearing easily. Like napkins will tear easily as soon as you start gluing them on, and as soon as you start taking the layers off, they're very fragile. This is tear resistant tissue, which is a whole different animal, and you could put this onto all the things you do with your paper napkins, but you're going to get a nice flat finish, because if it buckles or warps or something while you're gluing, you can lift it up and put it down again and it's not going to tear. And so it's just a new fun product that you can use instead of napkins when it comes to any situation, but specifically difficult situations, or situations, I believe, also where you want something to be long wearing, like a piece of furniture. I think this will be a much stronger item to be on your surface than a napkin. But having said that, I love napkins, so I'm not saying replace napkins with this. I'm saying this is another tool in your arsenal of projects you can do with craft. Have you ever thought of doodling on a tear-resistant napkin before you glued it onto the surface you had it planned for? Well, I've done that today, as you can see there, with this tear-resistant napkin from NinnysNapkins. This one is called Twilight, and originally the doodled areas were just plain white, as they are plain black. These were plain white. So stay with me today and I'll show you how to doodle a tear-resistant napkin. Now I need to work out what these intersections here are what's going to happen here. So I think what I'm going to do is bring these down like this, so we can see that there's an intersection like that. So some leaves are coming out of different sections there, and then we need to do these on this side. Now, before I go any further, it's not dark enough, so I need to go to a wider pen. This is a Uni Posca pen, and it's a 0.7 millimeter, and it's black. Now, I did find the Posca pen does bleed a little, but not enough for it to be a problem unless you're trying to do a fine line. But I want a thicker line here, so it's not a problem at all. And I'm going to go back over this flower and just redo the outline of it and make this a thicker line and a stronger line, just going off the edge, so that if it bleeds towards the white, it's not bleeding too far. And see how much thicker that is now? That's the effect I'm after. There, so I like that stronger line there. Everybody's different. Now I'm working with a mat underneath because this will go through the fabric, so I don't want it to go through the fabric and mark the desk. I want these white ones to really stand out. I did this whole butterfly and I didn't realize that the phone had switched itself off, so I'll just explain how I did this. I drew around the butterfly and I brought that wing in like that, around there, and that wing in like that, and I did these the outside edge of the butterfly around there as well. Now I've started on this little butterfly before I realised that the iPhone had been turned off. So I went around the head, but I didn't put any eyes in it because it's too small. I went around the body and I drew in the antenna because you can barely see the antenna on that one. Now I've got to decide with this one. I think I'm going to bring the wing around there and into the body there, and bring this wing around here, and I get about down to there and bring that into the body there as well. Now I'm going to go around the outside again, and do the same here. I outlined this third butterfly the same way, going around the head, the body, the top wing on each side, and the base of the butterfly wing, bottom of the butterfly wing on each side. I've got a gel pen here, a black gel pen, and what I'm going to do is just mimic the outline first. The doodles I'm going to do today are really basic and simple, and then I did try a couple of pens first to make sure that this didn't bleed, and a gel pen doesn't bleed. So I've outlined the petal, I've mimicked the outline of the petal, and now I'm going to put a little stem up the middle, but at the end I'm going to put a ball and do a spiral inside. And then down the bottom I'm just going to put a couple of little teardrop shapes like that. Might do it another, maybe 3 just at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on all of these. Whenever you're drawing, you always need to have your hand completely comfortable so that you can do a good job. I make things up as I go along, so what I do also is I look at this and I think, oh, what else does it need? The whole time I'm doing this, I'm looking at what else does it need. Now, this moves easily, so you sort of need to hold it while you're doing it. And I always find with my work, nothing ever looks good in the beginning, but it starts to take on some form and some shape and some interest as you go along. Okay, so that's starting to look a little bit more interesting than just the plain white, and a little bit different. Yeah, now I'm not sure what I'm going to put in the bottom section here yet, but I will mimic the outline. I'll outline it, and then where these end I'll bring them around to each one like that. And I think what I'll do is I'll go back to this now, and I'm going to put in some little just straight lines all the way along at 90-degree angles from the line to the edge. So the line changes. Now you watch as I go around the corner here, it'll come out, you see what I mean, and then it changes and goes back to straight again. So it's mimicking the angle of the petal. Now there's a lot of doodlers out there and zentanglers, and I'm sure you could come up with some even better patterns for these. But I'm just giving you the basics of what you can actually do on this stuff other than just glue it on. Now these petals are now starting to stand out a lot more, if you look at that, the black doesn't draw your line now as much as the line work draws your eye. So this flower is now becoming the most dominant flower on the page because I've just added lines to it. Now nothing I've done here requires major skill in drawing, really. If you took a close look at these lines, you'd find that they're not all equal distance apart. They're not all straight. They don't all touch the line at either side, but as a group, you've got the gist of it. Now, you could also go over with this pen a second time and just make those lines a little bit darker but not wider if you wanted to. Now, what I'm going to do is, I saw this, it looks like rope coming down. I'll do it with the thinner one. And I'm just going to do a curve. And I'm just twisting across and making sort of like a bumpy edge, coming in and out all the way down. You have to decide whether the leaves are going over the top. So this time the stem's on top, but next time the leaf's on top, because I want to create as though they're intermingled with each other. Decided what I'm doing with petal, and it's just curved lines in one direction and then the other. So I'll do 7 in this direction, and then I'll do 7 in a different direction. I didn't realise that the phone had switched itself off, so I'll just explain how I did this. I drew a circle around the head and put 2 little eyes in. I then drew around the body and then just did curved lines up the body. Now, I then drew a line up just inside the edge there, and I did another one just inside, a wider one inside that bumpy edge there on both wings. And then I drew a long piece that came up like that on both sides. I'm doing each side at the same time so that I can't get it too wrong. I have got it a little bit wrong, but anyway. Then I came out at the bottom like that, and at the bottom like that. Then I did one there and one there, and the same here and here. And as you notice, it's slightly different on that side, but I'm not real worried. Okay, now then with this side I drew one down there, one down there, one in beside the body, another in beside the body, another long one there, another long one there, and then I went 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I drew in the little dots. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 little ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 little ones, and then round here I just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little circles. Now with this one, I think I'll bring a long one up there, a one in the middle, and one down there. Do the same here, a long one up there, one in the middle, one down here. So very simple drawings, And then I'm just going to do some little circles along there. 1, 2, 3, there. And then I'm going to leave a line along that edge there so that the top edge of that is white. Just so that it highlights it. And I'm going to leave the bottom edge again white here. Leave that bottom edge white as well. And with this one, I'll bring these loops 1, 2, just 2 this time. 1, 2, and no spots. Now on this butterfly, I drew a line across the top there on each side in order to give it a white edge. Then I drew around there on either side, around there on either side, and around there on either side to give it 3 segments and 3 circles on either wing. And then on this wing we mimicked the edge of the butterfly wing again on each side, and then I brought 1, 2, 3 segments down that way in order to give it 3 sections on the bottom wing but no dots. Then on the middle of the body I just drew curved lines up the middle of the body. And then I'm going to colour them in. So the first one, then leave a space, and then the next ones, then leave a space, then the next ones. I think what I'm going to do is with each of these, I'm going to colour in the bottom one here and the second one there, so it stands out a bit more, and I'll do the same on this side. I'll colour in the bottom one there and the second one there. Okay, now that's very light, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour in that central bauble there. Yep, just the very centre of that spiral I'll just colour in. So there we've drawn in all our lines, and now we need to colour in each of the flowers. Once I'd done those circles, I then coloured in this section, this black section, all around here and all around here with the gel pen, around there and around there. So that's how I got that butterfly. Now to colour this butterfly in, I just coloured in this section here and up to the body there, and this little section in here on both wings, and then every second group of parallel lines I coloured in on the body, and that's all. On this butterfly I coloured in just under that line along there between the segments and that line there. I coloured in around the circles and to the edge of the wing and to the edge of those segments and back in here, and then I coloured in that section between the segments and that white border there. On both sides I also coloured in every second segment here on the body. Now here's a close-up of the finished project. Don't forget to subscribe and push the little bell if you'd like to be notified of when I put up the next video with this tear-resistant tissue in a project. If you would like to purchase any of these products, just check in the description below for links to Ninny's Napkins, and don't forget to use the discount code that gives you 10% discount on purchases. And check out the video links on similar topics.